So, hello everybody, and welcome to Lifting the Veil with Terri and Rhonda.
Again, we're our show.
No, I was just trying to be dramatic. Anyhow, we have some exciting guest today that we've been chomping at the bit to have on the show. So, Terri, why don't you take it from here? And tell us a little bit about our fabulous, wonderful guest that we love so much.
You actually have two guests.
That's true.
Yes, that's true.
That's true. She was here. She just made her presence early, remember?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Cindy Fox. Welcome, Cindy. Hi. And do you mind if I say where you work? Are you okay with that?
You can say, yeah.
Yeah. Cindy works for WFRE Radio. We've been friends for, I don't know how long. 15 years? 15 years? Anyway, we met through the Owl Nest in Frederick, and I know if you've been listening to our podcast before, you know we met a lot of people through the Owl Nest in Frederick, and Cindy was one of them. And I think one of the first times that we met, you brought your daughter in for a reading.
I did.
Was it for her birthday? I can't remember.
It was for her birthday.
It was for her birthday, and Sara is her daughter's name, and I told Sara that her soulmate was on the other side.
That did not make her very happy.
No, she was pretty upset with me, and you know, I felt bad saying it, but I felt the need to say it. So I told her that, you know, that she would find true love on the other side. Doesn't mean she wouldn't find love here. And I did tell her that, you know, it just wouldn't be your soulmate. You know, so y'all left that day, and how'd she react to that?
Well, she wasn't very happy, but she got over it pretty quickly.
Did she?
So, yeah.
Okay.
She didn't believe you, of course.
Oh.
But
no one ever believes me.
Yeah, she did not believe you.
Something they don't want to hear.
Yeah. Well, then it happened that not that long after that, Sara actually was in a car accident and lost her life. She was 21 years old. Probably about 3 months after we had met with Terri, I had a dream, and one of the things that happened to me a lot is I'll have dreams about people passing away before they pass away, but I don't realize that that's what the dream is about until after it happens. So about 3 months, I think it was after Terri had met with Sara, I had a dream that Sara was in a room, and it was illuminated. So much light was coming in the windows. It was almost blinding. There was so much beautiful white light coming through. And she was there with a young man, and she was the happiest I had ever seen her. She was so happy. And throughout the dream, the number 7 kept on being mentioned throughout the dream. I really didn't think too much about it at the time. I told Sara, and Sarah's like, "I'm not waiting those 7 years," and she, you know, and that was kind of the size of it. She knew I had dreams that came true. At that point in time, wasn't having the dreams of people dying, but I had other dreams that had come true. So she took my word pretty well, but also wasn't going to wait 7 years. Then afterwards, after she had passed away, Rhonda, who I also have known for at least 10 years,
And at the Owl Nest.
and at the Owl's Nest,
Through Terri.
Through me.
had told me to you know, rest assured that Sara was very, very happy, and she was with her soulmate. And that reminded me of that dream that I had had. And so I looked up the word 7 and, you know, did the Google search and looked up the Bible meeting, looked up all kinds of different information on that. And the number 7 is actually a word for completion, which makes sense. It took 7 days to create the earth, but it was a lot to do with endings, new beginnings, completion. And I realized the dream that I had was actually a premonition of her dying. But I knew she was with her soulmate because both Terri and Rhonda had both said that was the case.
And I didn't know, and
And
she
I
didn't
seen
know.
him. Yeah, and I had
said that.
actually seen him. So that was the beginning, I guess you can say, of our journey, our progression. I say all the time to Terri and Rhonda both, and many friends that Sarah's passed away, but it's just like any child that grows up. They grow up, they get married, they have kids. Your relationship changes, and Sarah and my relationship changed. She's still very much a part of my life and a part of things that happen every day.
Yeah, and then you started a Facebook page.
I did start a Facebook
Which
page.
is a really cool Facebook page. So if anybody wants to check into it, it's called My Wonderful Weird. What's it called? My Wonderful.
A wonderful weird relationship with my daughter in spirit,
Sarah.
or Sarah.
Yeah.
It's a little long, but we could probably put that in
A link.
in a post.
Yeah, maybe
a
in
link
the
for
Facebook.
that. But and that's where I log all the dreams that I have with Sarah and strange encounters and interesting things that have happened along the way.
You know, I've noticed in the work that I've been doing all these years that a lot of the younger people that pass, their spirits have a lot more energy to do things than the older older people do. But for Sarah, she's like always doing something to let you know she's with you. I mean, it's crazy, and I'm rather jealous of that relationship you have with her. But she's not really a guide. She's still your daughter.
She's still very much
on the
my
other
daughter.
side,
Yeah.
and she's still very much in your life, which is really, really cool.
She's been passed, I think we said that, but passed for 10 years. And I still have regular visitation dreams with her. She likes to give me advice in my dreams. I mean, that's a big thing she does. I had early on, she was my own therapy session because she would tell me things about being happy and how important it was for me to still be happy. And I took that very seriously. I mean, of course, losing a child is devastating and really, really rips you apart. And so I had pretty dark periods that I didn't see Sarah, and had lots. But I realized that in order for her to lower her energy enough for me to see her, I had to raise my energy.
Yes.
And so I focus, and both Terri and Rhonda know this. I focus so much on being happy. It's like I walk, I breathe it, and I am it. Because I know my happiness helps me to maintain that relationship with Sarah.
Yes, and the beauty of it is that you can recognize the signs that she gives you.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people can.
And we're going to try to post these wonderful pictures of some of the signs that she got from Sarah in the links down here on the YouTube page. But she's here. Actually, she keeps saying Frank. Who's Frank?
Oh, Frank is somebody that works over at the station.
We've worked with Frank before.
Yeah, you've worked with Frank.
Yeah, but it's somebody that she knows.
She knows Frank. Sarah was very much in life with me for any event that I did and worked with. Her and I were together all the time, and even after she had moved out when she was 19 on her own, not because she had to move out, but because Sarah was a very, very independent young lady. And she still, every weekend we were together either doing events or yard selling, just doing mom and daughter things. So,
Well, she's strong. She was a strong-souled person, and now she's strong in spirit.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's why she can come through, and you have that will and that desire to connect with her. And I just think that's awesome, that you guys do that. And I wish that more people would do that. And that's what Terri and I try to do. I mean, we give readings and things, but we try to also help people to raise their vibrations and recognize signs more. And it's healing. It's
It is
very healing.
You know, if you're happy, they're happy.
Yes.
If you're sad, they're sad. I mean, they can feel,
Yes.
you know.
I recently read that that it was very well written, and I'm not going to say it as well written as it was, but basically, you have to put your griefs somewhere. So put your grief in art, and put your grief in music, and put your grief in writing, but don't keep it inside of you.
That makes sense.
And so early on, I mean, really basically, I spent all my time with Sara. So after she passed, I was very, very alone. And so I started doing things that I knew that Sara liked to do, that I figured it would help me to be closer to her. So
Someone's playing with my hair.
No. Didn't you hear that?
I heard someone's playing with my hair.
I just right behind her, I said, I heard this,
And someone's like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
she does like to do. One of the things that Sara likes to do, to all people that can see Sara, is she really likes to mess with people.
she does.
She likes to mess with hair. She likes to give you rabbit ears. So if you see any little rabbit ears behind any of
Or
her heads,
orbs, let us know. It might be an orb.
that's just Sara. So don't worry, I'm used to it. She kisses me regularly. I feel her all the time, and I can feel her when she sits on me and lays on me. And Terri has said to me before, "Do you know that Sarah's sitting on your lap right now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." It's just a very normal way of life. But I forget what I was talking about. I was talking about some of the with the art.
Yes.
And so
Putting
I
your
started.
grief in something.
Yeah, so I started painting, and I would go to paint classes and
Paint nights.
paint nights.
They were
and
fun.
They were. So it's been a few years now, but the first thing that Sara did where she manipulated something to really let me know that she was there was at a paint night, and I was painting along, and I went, "Oh, there's something funny about this picture," and I looked at it, and in the very center of my picture, my painting, is Sara's name.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Clear as day.
I was there. I was sitting right next to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wrote her name in paint. One of the things, like I said, in life, she loved to paint. All of her clothes were covered in paint. She loved to paint. So I knew.
She was very creative.
Yeah. So I knew I was on task with this. But then over the years, she does things like she'll turn my computer off. She'll like I was contemplating getting a paver with her name on it, and had kind of set it aside. And months later, at work, I got up from my desk. I was working on an email. Got up from my desk, walked away, did something, came back, and right there was the application to fill out for her paver. So when she wants something, she makes sure I know about it. But
She sends you stuff over the computer too, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, this girl is wild. She doesn't stop.
No, she really doesn't. I'll get text messages that say from nobody that say mom, and I'm like, okay, hi Sara.
Didn't you get a hi mom once?
I got a hi mom. And one of the things that she liked to do in life that I also picked up besides the painting and the art was she really liked tea. And she liked going to tea houses and with her girlfriends, with me. It was just something that she really enjoyed. So I started, that was my therapy, really, basically. I would go, once a month I would go and go to a tea house and have a nice cup of tea. Well, she realized that she could do something when I was drinking tea. And so she started sending me pictures in the bottom of my teacups.
With the tea leaves.
And with the tea leaves. And so, and we'll, like Rhonda had said, we'll post those pictures. But I have pictures where you can clearly see "We love you" written out in the bottom of the teacup. I have in the bottom of the teacup I have a full profile of her. I have She loved penguins and fairies. I have penguins and fairies in the bottom of the teacup. And she does that pretty regularly. And so, obviously, I like to drink tea a lot more than what I did before. So.
And they're very clear, plain to see.
Yeah. I mean, I can hold them up, but I don't know how well.
Yeah. Well,
how well
they
they'll
don't
actually
show too well here.
actually show.
Probably.
yeah. You can
Yeah.
when they're in collar and stuff.
Yeah, I think
And you can send us the links, and we'll put them on, because it's really worth taking a look at those.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, what else can we talk about with Sara?
Well, your most recent experience with Sara, we can talk about if you want.
Yeah.
We went on a spiritual retreat, and part of that spiritual retreat, we did some trans mediumship. And that is when you put yourself in a meditated state, not medicated.
Meditative.
State. And
No.
no, we were not doing that.
No.
No, we were not. And oh, by the way, I don't drink and I don't smoke anything wacky, so all this stuff is really happening.
But I do.
So you put yourself in a state where you're really, really relaxed, and you invite spirit to come in. And Sara actually stepped inside of me and spoke through me, which was pretty intense and emotional. And I think she was just as surprised as I was, because we like to do things together. So she goes where I go where she goes. So that was a pretty cool experience. It was very emotional. Mm-hmm. So my sister-in-law had to have surgery done, and the night before I had a dream. And like I said, typically my dreams are real riddles, but this one was really, really straightforward. I had a dream. I was standing next to a coworker of mine, and his sister-in-law walked up to him and said, "Someone from Waynesboro is going to die today." Mm-hmm. So I knew immediately that it was her, because she's my sister-in-law and she lived in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. And that day she did. She died 7 times, and 7 times they brought her back. So she remained in the hospital, and a few months later, still waiting for both the kidney and heart transplant, she had a brain aneurysm. And I should back up just a step. At first I didn't tell her about having the dream, but I ended up then telling her that I had the dream, and she said, "Oh, well, you're going to know when I die before I die." And she kind of laughed about it, because she knew I had the dreams that I had, so it wasn't really a big shocker to her that I would know when it was going to happen. So then later on, she ended up having a brain aneurysm, and they didn't know if she was going to make it or not. And I had gone to bed that night with her on my mind. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I went downstairs, and I was in my recliner. I fell back asleep. And while I was sleeping, I saw and felt Sara's hand reach for my hand and pick it up. And then my other hand, the same thing, but it was a different hand. And at first I didn't recognize the hand. And I realized then it was my sister-in-law's hand. And she was holding my hand. They were both holding my hand. And so I opened my eyes. And when I opened my eyes, they were both standing directly in front of me, and with the most beautiful light surrounding them. My sister-in-law looked beautiful. She looked healthy. She looked vibrant. They were both very, very happy, and the amount of love that I felt was bigger than anything that I have felt prior and since. In that moment, they started to rise. And when they rose, I was leaving my body and rising up out of my body along with them. And I had just a moment of fear. And when I had that moment, I dropped back down into my body, and they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
that,
times.
That actually goes to show you that your inner vibration was very high at that moment. And then when that fear kicked in, fear lowers it. So that's proof right there.
Yeah.
And then it kicked you out. But now, wasn't Sara on the donor list? And you have stories about that as well, right?
Well, I do have some stories about that. She was able to donate. She donated all of her major organs except for her heart and some bone and veins and things like that. I've met the person that has the lungs. I was actually with Terri, and Terri and I do a lot together, by the way. And
I want to ask, have your other children ever experienced Sara?
They have. They actually have. They kind of poo-poo me a little bit. I mean, they're not. Yeah, Mom's having another. Oh yeah, I see that painting with Sarah's name on it. Yeah, Mom, that's cool. Yeah, but Sara, I know just from talking to her and other people telling me she's been trying to talk to them for a long, long time. So a couple years ago, my oldest son, called me and he said, Mom, I saw her. And so she was yelling at him to get his attention. And just for a few seconds, he saw her in front of him. And so that was pretty special.
It just goes to show, when spirit really wants to get through, they'll do what they can, however they can to do that. And it sounds like Sara, she's still very much a part of your family.
Yeah.
Oh, she absolutely is.
And because of you having the experiences with her, and you share them with your boys and your family, he wasn't afraid then.
Yeah.
So that makes it really pretty cool, because a lot of people would be scared, of something like that, but he was already used to it with you, so that's cool. Yeah.
They kind of. I mean, this is not a Sara story, but my dad, who's also passed away, has reached out to me as well, and he likes to. My phone will be sitting like over here and nowhere around me, and he'll dial his home phone number. So he's done that 3 different times, and the last time he did it, I was actually sitting at the dining room table with my boys and my husband, and sure enough, middle of the table, phone rings, and we're calling Dad's house, and I looked at him and I said, this is just normal here. Welcome to my world. So that was kind of neat, because for them to actually see it.
So do you think that you're raising your vibration to be able to speak with Sara has allowed you to hear others too?
I have heard I have heard others, and I heard others before Sara passed away. I had a friend years ago that had passed away, and he was waking me up every night. He would be yelling my name, Cindy, Cindy, and I'd wake up. I'd look over at my husband. I'd be in a panic, and then I realized after a few days that it was him. And I had a coworker that talked pretty clearly and loudly, like you and us 3 talking. I could hear him. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't know that I certainly can't do what either one of you do. And
well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, if
I
you
don't know.
look
I think anybody who raises their vibration and keeps it up, all the time or most of the time, is going to develop some kind of ability to hear or sense or whatever. Because mediumship, there's a lot of different roots to mediumship. There's a lot of different ways to hear spirit. And I just say hear because that's just, a blanket statement. Hearing doesn't mean with your ears, obviously. It can just be thoughts or just sensing them. So, I think you have some ability. But I think everybody who has lost a child, I think this is what we're trying to get at today is that it's horrible. It's horribly just the worst pain imaginable, but you can reach your children, I think, if you try.
Yes.
And one thing I like to tell people to do is run a recorder in your home, like every day or once a week or whatever. Set up a date. Like, okay, Sarah, I'm gonna sit down here every Tuesday at 4:00 with my recorder, and we're gonna have a conversation. And so on Tuesday at 4:00, you sit silently with her in a quiet place with the recorder, and you talk to her and you tell her how much you love her and miss her, and putting a lot of emotion into the talking really helps because that raises your vibration. And then give her time to answer you.
I just want you to know that she really likes that idea because she's busy kissing me on the cheek right now. So.
But it really does work. I've seen it work. I tell people to try it. And I think some people do give up on it because it's not always happens right away. But, the more you raise your vibration, the easier it is for your loved ones to connect with you.
Right.
So,
and it might not work for the first 20 times, but then, time 21 might work because if you keep at it and, like you said, working on your vibrations, you might get that EVP, of your lost loved one and get connected. And that's also why I teach the dowsing rods and the pendulum classes too, because that's another tool that you can use to... you're going to get yes or no answers, or you can be crafty with what you ask, but I talk to Mom all the time with those.
Yes, I've seen you in action.
At the library, Sarah showed up, and I said, Sarah, you're here. I said, can you point to your mom? And right over there,
to me,
they went to you. So, so, there's ways that you can at least communicate somewhat to know that they're there.
Well, I can say, again, like you said, with practice, because initially Sarah did not, do images in the bottom of a teacup. That took years. She's been gone for 10 years. So she just has progressed over the years.
Yeah, she's getting better at it.
Yeah.
But what's the one thing that Like, I know you say the kisses, that you can feel the kisses. But what's the one thing that hits you? Like, oh, Sarah's here.
Oh, I know when she's here.
Yeah, just feel her.
I can sense her. I can definitely sense her when she's around me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can all do that if we tune in and try to. Like, we don't want to give anybody false hope or anything, but I think that it's possible because Spirit's so close to us. They're all around us all the time.
Yes.
Within, just an inch or two, maybe half an inch, maybe even halfway inside of you.
Right.
That happens too.
She's pretty... My dreams with her are really, really amazing. I can't even... I have had so many that...
Which one really blew your mind?
Well, the one that probably blew my mind the very most was after doing a sound meditation, like 2 hours where you're in a submerged in music. The way the concert went, they would do their concert and then they would stop and pause and then they would read a poem. And throughout the entire meditation, I saw Sarah. She was walking kind of just on the outer edge. My guides really like to hang out around campfires. So I will see my guides like talking amongst each other around campfire. And so she was walking amongst them. And at the very, very end of this meditation, while in the silence, she came up to me and she grabbed my face and held my face in both of her hands And she had the most beautiful, beautiful blue eyes. And she looked intently into my eyes and just held that glaze. She was probably like this far away from me. She just held me there. And then he started to speak. And he said, part of his poem, he said, when she looks into your eyes, you will know.
See?
And
Oh, wow.
and it had to do with love. So that was probably the most intense. Of her very first visitation dream was interesting, because the week before she had passed away, her and I had gone on a trip together, and part of that trip we had gone into a synagogue, and we when we left, it prompted an entire conversation on religion and life. And I told her my thoughts, I have a universal thought that I think all religions are really the same religion, just we have to believe it however we've been raised to believe it, but ultimately in the end it's all the same.
Different paths
Right.
lead to one, yeah.
And that her and I were here, and it was kind of like school. And I had chosen to be her mom, and she had chosen to be my daughter, and we were on a journey together, and it was school. And during that conversation, she actually said to me, this is a week before she died, she said, I don't know if I'm good enough. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, I don't know if I died today, if I'm good enough to go to heaven.
Wow.
And I said to her, yeah, yes, you are. And we talked about it, and she felt good. And then, like I said, a week later, she was gone. But not really gone, as we both all know. But my very first visitation dream, she walked up to me in the dream and wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered in my ear, Mom, I'm done with school. So,
I love that.
yeah.
Well, and that goes to show you that the fact that you can remember that dream 10 years
Yeah.
ago was not a dream.
Yeah.
It was a
her.
visitation.
It was her.
You'll forget your dreams, but you will not forget those visitations.
They're very, very different. When I have dreams with Sara, they're very different. When I have dreams, premonition dreams, they're different than a normal dream. So I always know if they're significant when I wake up in the morning. And but yeah, she's wonderful with that. And I had a dream. Another dream I had was I was in a foreign city, and we were building roads. I have a lot of dreams about building roads. I have a band of gnomes that actually like to build roads for me too. But that's another time, another story. But in the dream, it was the end of the work day, and our employer was very, very happy with the work we had done, and he said, go get dressed in something nice, we're going to go out to dinner. So I'm getting ready, and then Sara is standing next to me in the dream, and she's holding up a necklace, or she had on a necklace that, you know how it is, mother and daughter, a necklace that was mine that I had given to her, and now, because of her death, had now back belonged to me. So she had that necklace on, and she was looking in the mirror, and she was wiggling her little nose and making faces, and I'm like, you know, it is. She had asked me if I thought it looked good with what she was wearing, and I said, well, you know, it's your choice. You can, you know, if you think it looks good, then it looks good. And she kept on making the faces, so I asked her if she wanted to look at my necklaces. So she went in, and she's picking them all up and over and over and over again. And I kept on saying, well, they all look good, but it's your choice. And she stopped in the dream, and she looked at me, and she said, you know, Mom, now that I'm dead, you have choices too. And you can choose to be happy. Be happy, Mom. And then I woke up.
Wow.
So,
See, she cares about, and also she wanted you to be happy because, like Terry said, it raises your vibrations, and she can communicate to you a lot easier. It makes her job a lot easier to try to,
Right.
do that. So, I mean, it's hard to do. I never want to experience, that in my life, and I can imagine that's
Nobody
the
wants
worst,
to.
the worst thing that you could ever have to experience in your life. But you and Sara have overcome even death.
Yeah.
And I often tell my clients, I'm like, it's really not death. They're really not dead. They're here. They just don't have a physical body anymore, but they're still here. It's just that we can't see them. They can see us. It's not different for them.
It's
But
frustrating.
it's different for us. So, but one day she'll be the first one to visit you when it's your time to come and
Yes.
get you, and you'll be getting in mischief over there then.
Sure enough. No doubt about it.
I'd like you to just to talk about the time when you were at the festival and the woman.
Oh, yeah, that was
that
pretty
was-
cool. That was neat.
That was pretty cool.
That is a neat story.
Yeah.
So I was in the streets, and I work, as Terry said, I work for a local radio station, WFRE, and so we had an artist in the streets. It was Lauren Elena, and she was one of her songs. I'm gonna say it the wrong name for it. I know I am, but it's I think My Mother's Eyes, I think is the name of the song. So Lauren Elena is a former American Idol contestant, and so our stage area was packed with people. I mean, hundreds of people packed in front of the stage, around the stage, the back of the stage. The whole stage was encircled with people, and I was standing under the tent, the WFRE tent, with a coworker, and when Lauren began to sing this song, I turned to my coworker, and she kind of scooped me up and was hugging me, and we hugged for a while, and then when I let go of her to turn back to face the stage, there was a woman that was standing facing the stage with her hands up as if in glory. And when I turned from my coworker, at the exact time I turned, this other person turned to where we were then facing each other, and she just reached out and scooped me in and held me, and it felt like I was surrounded with wings. Just my whole body just covered in this love, this beautiful love for a stranger just hugging me. And she had no idea who I was. And so when the song ended, I let go of her, she let go of me. And I turned back to my coworker just for a second, just long enough to say, I don't know that woman. That's all I said. And both her and I immediately turned back to look for her, and she was gone. In a group full of people, it would be impossible for her to be gone.
Angel.
But she was gone. Mm-hmm. So I guess it was, I don't know, it was a few years later. Terri paints beautiful angel pictures, and she gifted me one. And the angel that she gifted me was the same woman that hugged me. Yeah.
Oh,
She looked.
Wow.
She looked. I mean, everything about her, the entire profile, her hair, everything. It was my angel.
Aww.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So sweet.
she's touching my hair now. She's going right here. It's tingling.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. She must have been an angel that was giving you that gift of Sara. She could, through that angel, hug you physically.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
It's neat. It's neat how things like that can happen.
And, I never did get to know Sara very well, but I feel like I know her really well now. I mean, it's with all the things that have happened, and I've talked to her a few times for you, and I think you have too, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Talked to her a few times, and then you hear from her all the time, and I
Right.
hear from you from her all the
Yeah.
time. So it's like, okay, I know.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of people have said that to me too. But the beautiful gift from this is that Sarah brought. I as I said before, I was very alone, and it was a to lose a child. There is no other feeling. You might think that, oh, that really must feel bad, and your heart weeps for someone when you hear that they've lost a child. But quite honestly, you have no idea the devastation of the absolute pain and the ripping of your heart and how destroyed it is by losing that piece of yourself. And the beautiful thing that came out of this is that Sara didn't want me to be alone. She has brought me so many wonderful, beautiful, enlightened people. A lot of people that I've met through Terri and through Rhonda, but other people as well that have found me along this trail, and just a network of so many light-minded, loving individuals. And I know that was because Sara did not want me to be alone. Mm-hmm. And they all say that. They all say, well, I feel like I know Sara. Mm-hmm. Because they do. She's jumped in to other people's dreams too. Actually, people that were not, quote unquote, claimed to be enlightened, just regular ordinary people. But several of my friends, they've had dreams of Sara, and even some friends that never had met her before.
Well, that's cool.
And so she's given them messages to give to me, which is really neat.
That's neat.
And she's got a caboodle of friends over there too. But she's making me keep seeing this heart. And I think you're going to be getting a piece of jewelry soon.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
It's a heart, and it's like a pendant, and it's got these little teeny tiny chips of very shiny dark pink stones in there. And I know it had to be stones because
Right.
she and I are like we were like crows in a past life or something because
I have lots of rocks.
We love shiny things, but I think you're going to get something like that very soon.
Well, when you get that, you need to share that with
Yes.
us.
I definitely will.
Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, we've been wanting you on the show for a long time. And hey, come back with more stories.
Absolutely.
I know you'll have plenty.
We'll want to hear them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.